You guys are in for a treat because I'm already laughing. What's up? It's me, your host, Brittany Oniki, and you are now tuned into Entwine Couture Presents the BAN's Guide to Scandalous Behavior, Part 2, Naked and Unafraid. So I bet you're wondering what I'm doing sitting here with the makeup all behind me and my fabulous turban. What's going on with all the skin? So stay tuned, stick around. We've got a great show for you. We've got great panelists, and I am so excited for the first time that we've been doing this broadcast. We have some male energy, some testosterone. We have a handsome young man on the panel. So you guys are in for a treat. I'm going to let them go ahead and introduce themselves. First up, we have our returning panelist, our beloved Mama Day. Then we have YouTuber, blogger, mental health expert, Regal Fro. And then we have author, poet, and also a YouTuber, Willie Havmeyer. So everybody, a round of applause. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. And Mama Day, we'll start with you. Go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers.
Well, hey, girl, hey.
Hey, go ahead.
I'm Mama Day. I'm a YouTube blogger. I've been natural 4 years now. Me and my daughters decided to do a natural hair journey together, and my blog is simply about natural hair, the care for natural hair, fun family event.
All right, welcome back to the panel. And Regal Fro, I am loving the lioness. I'm loving it. Go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers.
Thank you. My name is Regal Fro. I run 2 blogs, one mental health, motivational, another one is for this stuff right here. I've been natural fully, it'll be 2 years in December. I transitioned for 16 months. And I did it because my little girl wanted to know why brown girls had puffy hair.
Awesome. And Willie, I can't tell you how happy I am to have a man join the conversation, so go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Willie Havmeyer. I have a couple different blogs. I have maybe 4 blogs in total. Too many to really name, but the main one here is Willie Hairs. Willie, like hair like lamb's wool, and I encourage every lion to grow its mane. So Willie Hairs, I give my journey, and I encourage other men to give their journey as well.
All right, so welcome everybody to the show. Let's jump right in. It's been about a month since we've had a webcast, so first up is hot topics. And it seems like you cannot escape what is going on in the NFL. I am not a football fan, so I don't have any personal affinity towards either of these men, but definitely have a personal connection to the subject matter. As a mother, I have a personal connection to child abuse and discipline, or what is considered abuse. And as a former wife, I have a personal connection to domestic violence. So first up, we'll talk Ray Rice. So the footage speaks for itself. There's no need to recap. I think unless you've been living under a rock, everybody's seen that video. And I want to start with you, Willie. Just what are your thoughts, not on domestic violence as a whole, but on this video specifically? What was your reaction when you saw it?
Well, when I saw the video, it really didn't really do it justice as far as when they gave out the initial explanation. Like, the initial explanation made it seem like they both had a fight. It was equal blows going both directions. She was spitting on him, antagonizing him in some kind of way or fashion. And it seemed to me like when you saw the video, he was completely the aggressor. You know what I'm saying? Like, he really was the aggressor in this fight. And it really looked it looked a lot more terrible than what they initially set it out to be. So I thought that was completely odd. I thought they did a big cover-up. I thought if anybody had seen that video and gave him 2-game suspension, that was something that's appalling to me. I couldn't understand how that could happen. But, it's something that's in our community big time, as far as in the black community especially, as far as men feeling that they need to dominate over women in certain kind of capacities because they feel inadequate in society in a lot of ways. So this is something that many of us grow up watching and viewing or hearing about. And it's sad that it has to take place on a television screen in front of all our audiences like that.
Mom said, what's that face about?
Well, when he said in our race, domestic violence doesn't pick a color. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to dispute that one. I won't just say it's just black men that do that abuse. It's also any race, and it couldn't be just men. Also, women could be abusive to men. So I kind of side-eyed you. Sorry, Willie. But
I wish I could get a rebuttal.
yeah, you'll get a rebuttal. But I saw the tape and I was in utter shock how it was aggressive. It was definitely aggressive. It was hurtful. I'm going to save my other feelings for how I feel afterwards. Before watching the tape itself, Brittany, I would say I was shocked, and immediately he was well deserved to be booted out the NFL.
Regal Fro, here's a question that I want to ask you as a mental health expert. Can you talk, well, first, what was your reaction to the video? But your question is going to be two-part. What is your reaction to the video when you saw it? And then, what is your reaction to the video when you saw it? And then, as a mental health expert, what is your professional opinion about people who stay in abusive or dysfunctional relationships? Let's help a viewer out there. I'm sure there's someone out there who is dealing with this quietly in the closet. If you could just break down, maybe for them, what are some of the things that they are probably wrestling with internally that they don't want to face that causes them to stay with someone who, whether it's verbal abuse, emotional abuse, just something that's just unhealthy?
Okay, there's multiple dynamics. So the first question, let's go to the video. When I saw the video, it basically mirrored a lot of the things that I've seen professionally. And so for professionals who deal with it, it becomes a very sad but routine almost story, because you understand the cycle of violence. When people ask why a person stays, we don't want to go into the realm of victim blaming. Because what happens then, because that's always the question, well, if you know he's harming you or he could be dangerous, why are you staying? We classify that as victim blaming, and we never want to blame a victim for the things that the perpetrator has done, the abuser has done. One thing is that there are several types of abuse. We know physical, we saw that in the video given this particular situation, but there's also emotional, there's psychological, and there's economical abuse. A woman may not feel as if she can financially leave a person and be able to take care, if there's children in the home, children. And a lot of things that people don't understand is that when a person, when I come across someone who's dealing with domestic violence, and I'm a crisis line counselor, when someone comes across me and they're dealing with that issue, there's questions that, you know, we have: are you safe? Are you in a safe place? And just to say I need help is a lot. But then the person thinks about, people don't realize statistically 21 to 60% of women who are in domestic violence situations may not be able to keep their jobs simply because the abuser knows where they stay, knows where they work. And those thoughts come in: what if he finds me? He don't know what he's already told her. We don't know, or him. We don't know what that has already looked like behind the scenes. If they said, if you leave me, I'm going to hurt you. If you leave me, I'm going to do something to the kids. You know, we don't know the dynamics of that situation behind and what they're dealing with psychologically. Let me say, while I'm here, if there's anyone watching who's dealing with a particular situation, especially when you're wondering if you should get help now, you can pick up the phone. You can dial 1-800-799-7233, and that's the National Domestic Violence Hotline. If you want to get, I would recommend, if you're calling that number, that you may want to use someone else's phone if that if the abuser may have access to your phone or may be tracing your calls. And also, if you want to look up things or shelters online, then you want to look in a private window. That way the history won't be tracked, because people really don't realize just how cunning and how manipulative and how far-reaching an abuser will go to keep a victim in that situation.
This is just, thank you for sharing that. This is just something that's very near and dear to my heart as a woman, and just wanting every woman to find her voice, not to be too deep. We just live in a society where I don't personally believe that women are valued for the jewels that we are. And there's so many levels to that, that to have someone be in a situation where they just don't even feel safe, they can't even begin to reach their full potential if they live in fear every day. So again, Regal Fur, will you please share that number once again for our viewing audience, the ones who are viewing live and the ones who watch this video 5 months from now?
Yes, it's 1-800-799-7233, and that is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. If you don't feel comfortable in calling the number, if you want to search online, either do it from a safe place that is away from the abuser, or if you're going to do the search on a home computer, open it up in a private window, and you can do IM or InstaChat as well. And if you don't necessarily want to call that particular number, you can Google crisis lines, crisis centers, and you will be able to find one. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in your area, but they will reroute you to a location that will give you the services that you need.
Awesome. Okay, Willie, what did you want to add to this part of the conversation?
Okay, before we move further on, I think that's beautiful, by the way, and everything she said was correct. But I had to rebut a couple of things, and I had to make sure I get this part out. A lot of times, between the two genders, there's a big war going on in some kind of way. I don't know how, we don't actually know where the genders getting this big clash from, but in a lot of circumstances, we have a lot of women who are emboldened to feel like there is no consequences for their actions of attacking men. And it's so funny because I'm writing a book right now on this very subject, where I'm taking a lot of men in Dallas who are going through situations where they have been labeled as women beaters, or they have restraining orders attached to them where they can't own a gun ever again, and they have to register and all these kind of things. And I call the book Assault with a Judicial Weapon. And what Assault with a Judicial Weapon is all about is how a lot of women are using the judicial system to hurt men, or to make men feel the pain that they feel. A man can leave a woman. A man can say, hey, I'm going to fight for custody of my children. A man can just move on with his life. And a lot of women feel like out of spite, they can use the judicial system as a weapon to hurt a lot of men. So while we also understand with the Ray Rice situation, it was a unique situation where he actually, for some reason, channeled his inner Ike Turner, but a lot of men actually also are getting labeled as women beaters when they are actually not doing anything wrong. So it's a big epidemic going on right now, where a lot of men are getting labeled in this kind of way, and I call it assault with a judicial weapon.
If I may respond, in our field, we do not discriminate based on gender. If a male calls and says that he is a victim of domestic violence, then we are obligated to treat his case just as if we would anyone else. The same protocol. The thing is, because he is a man, a lot of people would say, well, you're stronger than she is. Why didn't you stop it from happening? And so in particular cases, we don't have men, for the same reason women do, wouldn't want to come forward. They will be blamed for allowing something to happen or something to occur.
Well, here's what I want to say about that. A lot of this using the judicial system to hurt a man out of spite, I don't think any of that equates to being knocked unconscious and then dragged out of an elevator. I've never personally been hit by a man that I was in a relationship with, so I don't know what that feels like, but I've been in a fight before. So in being in a fight, and I've never been knocked out before, but I've been in a fight before, I've been hit before. I cannot imagine being hit with such force that I'm knocked to the ground and I'm so unconscious that somebody can drag me out of an elevator and I'm unaware. And then I can't imagine how that's compounded by somebody who tells me that they love me every day. So I don't know what you could possibly do in a court of law that could hurt a man to that degree. I think we can hold men accountable and hold men responsible, and that might hurt in some way, but I don't think that's emotional hurt. I don't think it's physical hurt. I just personally don't think that it's the same. That's just my 2 cents. I don't think it's the same.
I'm gonna jump in. My mom went through domestic abuse with my dad, and my dad had schizophrenia. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and like Regal Fro was saying, sometimes they can't get out. Like, my mom left my dad multiple times. I can't tell you the amount of times that we went to shelters, women's shelters, and probably in the 3rd day coming out the women's shelter, he is standing right by the car. He found her. There was just no, we don't know how he did it, if he had a GPS, and back then GPS weren't made. He always found her. One time Mom left us in New York. We didn't know where she was, and all of a sudden my dad snatched us from my aunt, went on the highway. We were crying boo-hooing because we thought we would never see life again, and we end up in North Carolina. Open the door, and my mom is setting up our new house, and you can see on her face she had this total shock because she could not believe he, 1, found her, 2, found us and brought us to her and basically moved in. And it took a point to where we had to end up moving to Japan without him in order to lose him so he couldn't track us down anymore. So I understand when there are women out there that say they can't leave because it's impossible. He won't give you that chance. And my mom was a strong black woman, and she tried multiple times to leave him. He just would not leave. He found her. So I'm very sympathetic to that. I understand the fact when women can't go because you get no choice. You have no matter in it. It's totally another thing for me just personally that you would sit there and blame the media for ruining that man's life and not his actions that ruined his life. His actions is what caused him.
Well,
no, Willie, did you
I didn't.
in the crowd? No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying him. I'm talking to Rice that actually, I'm talking to Mrs. Rice that sat there and said the media she blamed the media for ruining her husband's NFL life job. No, it wasn't the media that ruined his life. It wasn't her that ruined his life. It was him, his actions, and he should be accountable for his actions, and 2 suspensions for a game weren't going to do it.
Well, here's the other
side of the coin.
You can't talk about her.
Willie, hold on. Willie, I want to let you make your point, but Mama Day, to touch on what you said, here's the other side of the coin. She married him. She stayed with him. So, and I'm not blaming. So, Regal Fro, I'm not blaming. But here's what I just want to say about what's happened. So, in a physical altercation, you have the right to press charges or not press charges. Let's just say that she's like, you know what? It was okay. It's not that big a deal. I still love him. It won't happen again. I want to go ahead and marry him. Now she's married to someone who does not have a viable means of supporting his family. Should he have lost his job if the person that he is accused of assaulting isn't the one pressing charges? So now he's being tried in the court of public opinion, but he's not really even being tried criminally because his wife or his then fiance is not pressing charges. So should he have lost his job behind this?
Well, the hotel is who filed the assault. Okay. The hotel filed assault on both parties because she smacked him, and they got that on camera. So she got filed for assault, and he got filed for assault as well. So both of them got filed for assault, and they didn't do it. It was actually the hotel, and then that's when the police got the tape, and that's when they went in detail for it. So it was neither one that filed assault on each other. It was actually the hotel.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, I still think he deserved to lose his job.
Okay.
Personal opinion.
What was your next
Not to belabor these points, but I feel like y'all have my point all wrong, by the way.
I wasn't talking to you, but my point wasn't towards you, though.
No, I'm going with Regal Fro first. When I was making my point, I was actually talking about women who actually deliberately lie that a man has assaulted them or done some kind of harm to them so that they can have a sympathetic judge that will file some kind of justice for them, all because the man hurt their feelings, or the man moved on with his life, or the man wants more time and access with his children. When I say assault with a judicial weapon, I'm not talking about a woman using her rightful judicial system to get justice for her. I'm actually talking about the fact that a lot of women will lie because there is no consequences for her lying. There is no, you go to jail because you tried to put that man in jail. You lose 2 years of your life because you tried to take 2 years of his life, or you tried to get him on probation. So since you were lying, you going on probation. There is no consequences if a woman decides she does not want to tell the truth. She just wants to go and hurt this man in some kind of way. There's a lot of men that this is happening to. You know, I counsel men. You know, I speak on black self-love and eradicating black self-hate all throughout Dallas. And there's a lot of men who are trapped in the judicial system because of women who intentionally went to the court and lied for the express purpose of hurting a man or injuring a man who did nothing to them.
Okay.
This happens a lot.
I understand. To your point, we take that clarification and we add it to the record. So I totally now understand that point that you are trying to make. So again, talking about violence from one person to another, and again in the NFL, let's look at Adrian Peterson. Now I have to say I jumped on the tail end of this one. I just caught a snippet of it this morning on the Today Show. So I do not know how the allegations were even brought against him, but I know that it is about child abuse. I know that he doesn't have full custody of this child in question. I did hear this morning that there is a second child and a second mother in question who is now saying that her child also was returned to her with some type of wound or mark. So the question, but then you also have the people in the NFL and sports arena who decided to speak out, particularly Charles Barkley, because the comment that he made, I have to say, I totally agree with. Al Roker on the Today Show took difference with his statement. And his statement was, if we are going to fire people for spanking children, even particularly with the switch, or if we are going to vilify parents who spank their children who still use corporal punishment, then half of the parents in the southern region of the United States of America would be in jail. Now, I'm going to be the first person to say I was raised by a southern black woman. I have been beaten with the switch. And I was in New York at the time. But there are trees everywhere. And in Brooklyn, New York, I had to go and find a switch off of a tree to get a spanking because that was the culture that she came from. So even though I was not raised in South Carolina where she was raised, she carried those values to the North. And I also have to say that as a mother of 2 black boys who I now have to talk with about way earlier than I ever anticipated police brutality, and I had to talk to both of them about the case in Ferguson and Mike Brown, and I had to talk to them about Trayvon Martin, I have to figure out what type of discipline is best for my sons so that they don't go out into the world thinking that it's one big party. And so with that being said, I am a spanker. I am a college-educated black woman who will still take a belt to that tail. With that being said, the discussion is open to spank or not to spank. You had all of the white co-hosts on the Today Show, Matt Lauer and Natalie Morales, and they're all like, oh my God, we don't spank, we talk to our kids. Really? I talk to. But there comes a point where 77 times you're trying. Kids want to test boundaries. They want to see how much they can get away with. And I don't even know that it's old school. It's biblical in principle. But I just think that sometimes a pop, pop, pop will shake you to your senses. It's like, oh, wow, mommy's really not playing. Like, yes, mommy can bake cookies and we can have movie night. And she could take us to see the Ninja Turtles and we can go ice skate. And, like, mommy could be real chill. But let me not think that mommy is a joke. And I think the other